You're listening to the Meaningful Minutes with Niki podcast. This is a show for busy Latter-day Saint women who want to learn simple tools to feel confident and inspired in 10 minutes or less. We have a special guest episode today. I have Abi Ayres with me to discuss her spiritual experience hiking the Grand Canyon rim to rim. All right, before we dive into this episode with Abi, I wanted to give you guys a little heads up. My microphone cuts out right at the beginning of the episode and it jumps to a microphone that's a little bit farther away. And so it's not as clear and crisp as I usually like it, but hopefully it's not distracting because the episode is so good. All right, I'm so excited to welcome Abi Ayres to the podcast. I'm like kind of fangirling talking to her. It's so weird because
I am just a normal Joe over here.
It's so weird when you see people on Instagram though, and then you're like, wait, they're real people. Just kind of feels weird sometimes when you actually are talking to them. So I'm so excited you're here because you just inspire me in so many ways. But in case my listeners don't know who you are, do you want to give a little introduction about who you are, what you do, anything you want to tell them?
Sure. It's so funny when people ask me this because I'm like, I'm Abi Ayres and I'm just a regular person over here living my best life and sharing that on Instagram.
So true.
Like, I don't know why people follow me. I really don't actually.
Well, I follow you because you're
real.
inspiring.
I think I'm just a real normal person and there's not much of that on Instagram. And so people are like, oh, okay, good. Like there's at least one real person still. Like that's just a normal person.
I hope genuine and authentic. I think that's what draws us to you. It's just
that's
that
really
you're
nice.
Just so genuine and authentic. So I appreciate that about you.
Nice. Thank you.
So yes, you run an Instagram account and you kind of just share what's happening in your day, what's happening in your life, what you're doing. Yeah. I love that.
Just the run of the mill. I try to be more relatable, even though my life is turning into unrelatable, where it's like I have followers and I have an Instagram, but I try to keep it real and just be like, yeah, I have to clean the toilets too. And I have to, anyway.
We all get injuries too, right?
We all get injuries too. It sucks.
It does. One of the things that really inspired me about you, well, I've been following along for a while. I loved your murder mystery that you did.
Yes.
Are you still selling that? I would love to put a link on there for people.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When I was I wrote a murder mystery. Like I am the most random person. I swear on my people are like, what are you all about? And I'm like, I literally am all over the place.
You follow your dreams and you do what you feel inspired to do. That is amazing.
That's
I love it.
Nice way of putting it. Thank you.
Well, I think it was a huge undertaking. That wasn't like a small little, like I'm inviting some people over to my backyard. Like that was massive that you put together and now you sell it as a package. Like that's a huge deal. That is very huge. That was inspiring to me just as a business owner to see that, put it together and do it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. The other thing that inspired me, well, and this came from the murder mystery, was Ford. And you're
yes. I have a crush on Ford. So does Ammon.
Oh, this is perfect. So he interviewed you right after your rim to rim experience where you hiked from one rim of the Grand Canyon to the other side of the Grand Canyon, if people aren't familiar with that. And I was listening to your podcast and there was a couple of points in there where my mind, well, the spirit really just spoke to me and was like, this is what you have to do. I was like, huh, what? Like, I have no intentions of doing that. But it was listening to that podcast and like you talking and doing that. And the spirit was like, this is what you're doing. And then immediately after that, I thought, why? I don't have like a goal. Like, I don't have like a goal to try and get in shape or something. Like, why? And then the prompting just came to me like, this is going to be a spiritual growth experience for you. Like, this is not a physical goal. This is not a mental goal. Like, this is you creating a spiritual goal, like to be able to have a closer connection with the Savior and that strength that he can provide you. And you're going to need it. So that that was kind of revealed to me in that. And I was like, I'm one to follow the spirit and not question and just kind of do it.
You're like, fine.
Yeah. Yes.
Dang
I
it.
will go kicking and screaming, but I will do it. Yeah. So that inspired me. But I would love for you to tell my listeners, like, what inspired you to do this? It's 24 miles, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's a massive elevation change. And what inspired you to do the hike?
I think similar, where it was like, I've never done anything that's like really pushed myself physically.
Yeah.
I'm not one to run a marathon or like swim hundreds of miles. You know, like
Right,
I'm
right.
just not one to push myself physically.
Right.
Anyway, let's just put that out there first and foremost. Like, I'm not the most physically like.
This isn't like you were just doing these every weekend.
I don't like to work out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like to be uncomfortable
Right.
ever. I don't like massive heat. I don't like the cold. I just like to live in my comfortable, happy, chubby body. And anyway, my sister, all growing up, like, and I love the outdoor. Okay, so with that being said, I love hiking. I love the outdoors.
You and Amma met in the outdoors.
Yes. Yeah. We were river guides. Like we love being outside and doing physical activities.
Yeah.
But not activities that like hiking 24 miles. Like, no. Okay.
Up
so
and down a mountain.
Yeah. My sister Emily was telling me like, oh, Lance and I, like, we're going to start hiking more. Like, we're going to do rim to rim of the Grand Canyon in October. And I was like, okay, what is that? Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe the title, like rim to rim, that sounds like a bucket list item.
Right? Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, I'm going to go hike a mountain. It's like, oh, I'm hiking rim to rim, which is the Grand Canyon. Like, and I was like, well, can I come? I don't know what prompted me to say that.
The words just
and
fell out
she
your
was
mouth.
Like, are you sure? And I was like, yes. So at that point, I was kind of like, we'll see. Like, probs not, but that's cool. Like, I'll say yes. And then as I started hiking and like training more and more. So I went on a hike with my family to Donut Falls, which is just up the canyon from where I live. And it sparked so much joy for me. It had been a long winter. And so it was like kind of in the spring, and it was the first hike of the season. It just sparked so much joy hiking with my family. Like, while I was hiking, the endorphins must have kicked in, because they don't kick in very often because I don't work out. So it was like a foreign, like, I'm a happy person anyway. But then when the endorphins came in, I was like, ooh, this is nice. I've been missing these for a while. Yeah. The endorphins just kind of kicked in, and I was like, I love this. Like, I'm happy. My soul is happy. My heart is happy. My body is happy. My mind is healthy and happy. Like, I just found myself in this very happy, good place. And I feel like in today's world, especially, like, it is so easy to find not happy places. Like, so true. We find ourselves in these places that are not very happy, and we are continually bombarded with just heavy things. Yeah. And it's just getting heavier and heavier. And I'm not like one for doomsday, but I am. Like, I just feel like it's just getting worse and worse. Yeah. And to have that moment of clarity of just like, this is something that like truly is sparking joy for me and is bringing me like so much peace. Yeah. It was kind of addictive. And so my sisters were like, okay, let's go on Lake Blanche hike. So literally I went and did like a 1 mile hike with my family and felt amazing. And I'm like, oh, I am hiking. We got there. Rim. We're doing it. That's awesome. So then the next hike is me, Kelly, and Emily, my sisters, hiking Lake Blanche, which I didn't know what All Trails was, the app All Trails. Do you
Oh,
know
yeah.
what that is? Okay.
I don't use it very much just because my husband takes me wherever I need to go.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't.
that's convenient. I
Yeah.
wish my husband did that. So All Trails is like an app that kind of like tells you all the trails anywhere you are in the world and like if it's easy, moderate, or hard. Okay.
Yeah.
Lake Blanche is hard. Like it's difficulty level hard.
Oh
And I
no.
was like, be fine. And they're
Yeah.
like,
You knew
okay.
that before going?
No,
No.
no.
I was
I was
thinking
like,
when I
I'm
watched
going
you do it, you
hiking
didn't
with
seem
my
like you knew.
sisters. No, I'm like, I'm going hiking with my
Yeah.
sisters. Like, it'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
No. Like one of the most traumatizing experiences of my life. Like within the first 20 minutes, my sisters are like, do you mind if we like go ahead of you? Because I was like, I was literally dying.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I was dying. I was
Yeah.
dying the entire time. So they went up and I just kept, and so I hiked it myself and I did not reach the top.
Mm-hmm.
But like during that hike, a lot of things came out.
Yes.
Like I was not prepared for what happened on that hike.
Yeah.
And I feel like the closest thing to like the temple, and like I'm sure you talk to a lot of women of faith, but like in the LDS religion, like the temple is like the most sacred place. I think that like the mountains are comparable. Truly,
it says that in the scriptures all over.
It says that, and it's like a very healing, very interesting place. And if you do start hiking, just be prepared for that because so many
it is a spiritual
came out. Mm-hmm. Yes, like I was alone. I was hiking. It was very difficult. Like I am scared to hike Lake Blanche even now after I've even done, like I think I'd rather hike rim to rim than Lake Blanche.
Wow. Holy cow.
Like it's not an easy hike. And during that hike, you know, like the little angel and devil on your shoulders, like they were arguing the entire time. My mind was fighting myself. Like I was fighting myself the entire time. Like I am uncomfortable. I am unhappy. I like every negative, annoying thought came into my mind of why I should not be doing this right now.
Yes.
While this very strong, I'm going to cry. Like this very strong part of me that had been buried for a very long time, like came to the surface and just defended every negative thing. And it was like, you are completely capable. You are completely available to do this. Like you are capable. You are strong. You have the capacity to do this. You have been blessed with a beautiful body that functions like like just so many things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like who is this?
It's your true divine self. That's you. Like, that's your spiritual DNA.
Yes, like I know that I'm a divine goddess. Like I know that.
Yeah.
And like I continually talk to myself in positive ways, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
This was different.
Yep.
This was a different experience. And when you're in that place of like, when you're in that uncomfortable place where you're pushing yourself, it's a different space.
Yeah.
And I've learned that is a sacred space.
Yeah.
It is grueling. It is grueling. It is so, but that's like, I really think that's why people are crazy and work out.
Yeah, it's true. They get addicted
to
that.
So they're like, oh, this is why people are working out. But it's not just a workout. Like I've worked out before and it's like, okay, this Zumba class sucks and it's hard, but like, no. This is where you want to like literally lay down and die, but you're on a freaking mountain. And it's like you lay down and you actually die, or you have like, Like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
you getting
exactly.
out of this one? Like, there's no stopping. You have to go back down the mountain, you know?
Yes.
And I think it's just like, I pushed myself to this really like weird space that was so foreign to me. And I just was so shocked at what my inner dialogue was.
Yes.
It really was so spiritual and so special, so sacred. So I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And it was then that I knew that, like, I am going to do this for myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to hike rim to rim because I can.
Yeah.
I can do this. I want to prove to myself, to my body,
yeah,
that I am capable. And not just, it had nothing to do with weight. It had nothing to do with anyone else. This had to do with, like, physically showing myself that I am completely and utterly capable.
Yes. I love that. First of all, thank you for sharing that. That's like a tender.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to go there, but that's the truth.
I appreciate you sharing that with me, because I know tender spiritual moments sometimes are harder to share. But you know, I think, and this is what I often teach women, is that when we can connect our true divine self with each member of the Godhead, like, you feel the Savior's enabling strength and power behind you, and you can hear the Savior's voice through the Spirit, and you know that your heavenly parents are like, we're doing this, right? And you know that if they know how it turns out and they're telling you to do it, that there's power behind that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that divine connection is just that feeling. It is addicting.
And it's funny because, so that entire summer I hiked, right? And the entire summer I was hiking with other people, and I was like, do you think I'll make it? And, like, even until the day I hiked rim to rim, I really wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I was as prepared as I could have been, right? Like, I could have definitely been more prepared.
Yes.
I was terrified. Like, probably up until the first mile in, I was legitimately terrified. The only other time that I felt that scared was when I decided to serve a mission for a year and a half, and going to the MTC and being like, I'm literally making a really big decision right now, and I'm going to be gone for a year and a half, and I'm committing. Like, it was a really big commitment moment where it's like, and with rim to rim, the interesting part about hiking the Grand Canyon is you start on the decline and you end on the incline. So it's not a normal mountain where you're starting on the up and then walk down. So it's like, you know, that if all your strength is gone by mid hike, it's okay, because the rest of the way is downhill.
Right.
No, it's opposite. It's downhill. And then halfway through the hike, you're like, now comes the hardest part.
It's not just like a gradual up either. It's like straight up at the end.
Exactly. It's switchbacks all the way up.
Yes.
And it's switchbacks on the downhill too, which is really hard on my knee. Like, my knees hurt really bad. And, like, I have problems with my knees. So on the decline, I was really nervous because of my knees, not because of my lungs.
Right.
But, yes, and my body. But, like, on the incline, like, there were just so many terrifying, like, facets of it.
Yeah.
And I think through that entire process, in my heart, like, it's funny because, like, in my heart, I knew I could do it. I'm like, I can do this. You can do, like, that positive goddess, inner goddess, Jesus, you know, Christ, all the good parts of me are like, you got this. But the entire time it was met with just complete and utter, like, no, probably not. This has been fun, but, like, you're not going to do rim to rim, like, the whole time.
Yeah.
You can pull out. Nobody's going to be ashamed of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just all
That's
these
the opposition in all things, right? Like if you're
yes.
striving towards something,
yes,
there's
and
going to be opposition. Yeah.
Fighting through that was incredibly powerful for sure.
Yeah. Yes. So take me through like the downhill. I'm a little worried about too, because I have kind of had the same thing with my knees, and I'm a little worried about that. But I am worried about getting to the other side and then being out of energy and getting up the hill. Like, what do you think got you up those last 4 miles of switchbacks and like straight up?
Gosh. A lot of different things. I'll just start naming them. Okay. So the first thing is like food. This is so weird, but food and liquid IV. I would not have made it without food and liquid IV.
Okay.
I would have been barfing. Which is a very interesting thing, because I look at food, like never had I looked at food in a way that I did when I was hiking. Again, like I learned something so interesting, like food. We need to eat food.
Yes.
Food is good for your body. Like food is fuel.
Absolutely.
Food, like it was just weird. That we could go into, I'm sure you would not, we could do a whole other podcast.
I know, right?
But like eating the right things and like drinking liquid IV, there's no way I could have done it without that.
Good to know.
I know you're like, this is a spiritual podcast.
No, I need this too.
Yeah, right. Packing the right food and water was just paramount. And then I would say, my brother-in-law, Lance. So we all had like a hiking buddy. And at the very end, Lance was my buddy. And I really wished Ammon could hike with me, but he has like super bad plantar fasciitis, and it just came on like all last summer.
Yeah.
And so I was paired up with Lance, and Lance is Emily's husband. He's so cute. He's 10 years younger than I am. And he's so fit. He's like 6 some odd height. Like he's tall, dark, handsome, fit.
Yeah.
He probably would have finished first had he not had me as a hiking partner. Everyone had gone forward. We pretty much stayed as a pack. I think hiking with people is like paramount as well. You have to have people. And like fun, good people where you can talk and enjoy, like just talking. I was like, wow, we're already 20 miles in and we've just been talking this whole time. I didn't even realize I was hiking.
Yes. I'm going with my brothers and their wives. And so
okay, good. Yeah. Going with like a good clan and like talking and shooting the breeze, like super important, which is so funny. As I'm saying this, I'm like, isn't this like life? It's so
makes a difference. Even on Friday when I was walking with my husband, I'm like, tell me another story. Start talking, or my brain's
let's talk about something. Like, so I'm not thinking about every step.
Exactly.
Right. So hiking with the right people, and then having Lance at the end, those last 4 miles, just be there for me and just taking it at my level was so just important. I don't know how to explain it, but like knowing that somebody had my back, that no matter what, if we have to sleep on the side of the mountain, like he would have stayed with me. Like that was so nice and so kind of him. Another trick that I learned also was, and Emily taught this to me, and it's funny because Emily and Lance had gone down to St. George and done a huge hike down there. And one of my dad's best friends took them. And while they were hiking, he gave her this advice, and then she gave me this advice, and it saves me. And I'm like, why don't more people talk about this? But anyway, you can go at like the slowest pace. Like I kept trying to rush and hurry, just like go faster and fast. Like I just tried to go faster. And Emily kept being like, stop, like just go. Like every step was like step. Step. We were going so slow. Like mentally, I had to slow my body down because I would like hurry, like try to stay at the like with the pack. And then I would like be dry heaving because I'm like,
yeah.
And I'd have to stop and rest.
Yeah.
So do not stop. Like this was
Okay.
the advice. Do not stop.
Okay.
Just keep going. Even if you're going, okay, this is really good life advice here too. Do not stop. Just keep going. Even if it is like so slow, 1 mile an hour, like at least you are still moving in the right direction, but don't stop.
So many analogies that could work for, right?
I know, but that seriously saved me. And that was probably like the best advice. And not stopping like mentally helped me because I'm like, okay, I'm just going very, very slow, but at least I'm still getting one step closer, one step closer.
Oh,
yeah, that was a big one. So I think those were the polls.
Did you like those? Did you take, I'm debating the trekking poles. Do you think it was?
Yes. Especially on the downhill. So on the downhill, you like plant them and walk, and that kind of like helps with like the pressure on your knees going down. And then on the uphill, I'm so glad I had them on the uphill.
Okay. I was debating.
This time I just put them in my pack. Like they're not very big and they're not very heavy. So I would definitely say take them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was worth it for me to have them.
That's so cool.
You're going to be way more prepared though than me. You're already going 10 miles and it's like March.
I know, but every time I do something, I get injured. In December, I dislocated my knee wrapping Christmas presents. And I was like, it's like every time something happens to me, I'm like in a groove and I'm going, and then something happens.
You must
I'm
be
like, what in the world?
Very good Christmas wrapper.
We're getting very old, apparently.
I know, isn't it funny? You like sleep wrong and you're like, now we have to get surgery. It's fine.
Yeah. I was like literally just kneeling down on my knees, wrapping a present, and like my leg just popped out. I'm like, what in the world? This is crazy. But I learned so many experiences from that. Just like I think that's kind of what this experience is teaching me too, is that there are things that God wants to teach me even through the struggles. I was studying this morning.
Oh, well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. Like you're fruitful through the struggle. Like you gain all of this because of the struggle, and learning that it's not about trying to get to the other side, avoiding all these struggles, right? Like our goal is not to just avoid them. Our goal is to prepare for them and know that they are coming, and whatever they may be, that we are prepared no matter what. And for me, that's preparing spiritually, because I know that God has my back no matter what. And so if I prepare spiritually, I'll be ready for anything that kind of comes along.
Oh, like every hike I took, the learning that went on during the training.
Yeah.
Like rim to rim is one day. It's one day, right?
Right.
The training is months. Like the hardest thing of rim to rim is the training. That's what nobody told me. And I'm like, this is so stupid. What the freak? Why is this? Right?
Yeah.
But like every hike, every step, every trail, I discovered like I became more of that goddess. I discovered more of who I really was. And that shell, those insecurities, those fears they were still there, but every step I took, they just sloughed away more and more. And it was like, it was just one of the most empowering things I did. And at the very end of the trail, when I finished, I collapsed, right? Like, I had just finished 24 miles. Everyone was finished. My sister Kelly and my brother Sam came back down a mile to walk the last mile back with me. Like, again? These are the people that I'm hiking with, you guys. Like, I am not. I'm like, what the freak? But at the very end, it was like the end. I was like so flooded with emotions, because I like, part of me, I was so proud of myself, and that emotional, it was just emotional, just as much physical as emotional. And knowing that like I had done it and this journey was like over was kind of sad for me. It was like, I don't want this to end because I'm so proud of myself. And like, I know that I pushed myself and I know that I'm like, I just did something really big for me.
Yes.
And I just collapsed. It was just so physically, mentally, emotionally, just it took everything from me. And it's funny because like again, my brother woke up and worked out the next morning and I'm like,
Oh geez.
I couldn't move for like 3
Yeah.
weeks. I'm like, ugh!
That will be me. That will be me.
Right. But like, and there are things that I have gone through mentally that my brother has never, like he's never experienced that. Like we all have our different struggles and whatever, but this was something that was so uncomfortable and so like foreign to me, and knowing that I had finished. And but yeah, the journey was the prize. The journey was the prize.
Yeah. And it sounds like your journey was healing. Like when we connect with the Savior and when we do that, like that's when true healing occurs, because we're truly opening ourselves up to that healing power that the atonement of Christ offers us, right? And being in those places where it forces us to make that connection. I think when we open up and we're in that space, our mind and body are like, let's get rid of all of it, right? Like I'm constantly telling my clients that I'm like, when you are in that space, it feels like you're doing something wrong because all of this negativity is coming up. But in reality, your mind and body are ready to heal. And you're allowing and giving it that space, and it's going to come up.
It's pushing it through and it's coming to your awareness. And then it's like, okay, it's time to let you go.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You mentioned on the podcast with Ford about having like an experience with your ancestors and feeling them and their strength. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, that last 4 miles is just hell. So it's like 4 miles straight down when you start. I think it's a 7,000 feet elevation gain, loss, I should say. Yeah. So you go down, then you walk across, and then you go up. And like it's 8 miles up, but the last 4 miles are like straight up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And mile 20, I was feeling good. Like I was really, so it was like it's 24 miles. So mile 20, I'm like, I made it. Like I'm almost there. Yeah. Like I'm almost there. I just have 4 more miles, which 4 more miles, like I've been going so fast. Like the pace was fast. Like, yeah. And to think, oh, only 4 more, like that's no big deal. Yeah. No, like that was the beginning of the hike.
Yeah, yes. That's what
the beginning of the hike is after 20 miles. That's when the beginning of the hike actually takes place. Yes. And when it starts to incline, and you've already been going for so long, it's like, okay. Like, then it's like, oh, you hit mile 3, like 3 more miles. And you're like, I feel like I just walked 500 miles in the last 1 mile. That very last mile, the very, very last mile literally felt like 10 miles.
Oh my goodness.
And so not only did I have like my earthly angels with me, my family and Lance and all those people, but like 100%, especially not the last mile, because like my family came down and you have cell service, and I was talking to Ammon, and I'm sure angels were there too, but it was those like miles 20 through 23 where it was just me and Lance, and it was just grueling and so hard and getting dark and just feeling like you're almost there, but you are nowhere near the top. You're almost there, but not quite. Like, and you're just exhausted. And I was like getting super sick. Like you just get sick because it's just like, and you just have to start chugging liquid IV. But yeah, I had this like, I just felt like, again, it was super spiritual and super just like you have to dig really deep. And I think like my ancestry is all pioneers. Like my parents' sides, like both my mom and my dad It goes all the way back. Like they all married each other, and here I am. Here I am.
That's the way my husband's family is. Yeah.
Yeah, like full stock Mormon. We cross the plains. Like we are gritty and like it's legit. So walking that and like being there, like I know. And it's funny, like I didn't feel any masculine energy the entire time. It was all super, super like powerful female energy. And it was like, you are one of us. Yeah. Like the blood running through your veins is like strong and capable. And not only like spiritually are you able to do this, but like your body has been the, what am I trying to say? Your body is like the result of
you have their physical DNA inside of you.
Yeah. Like you are a part of us. You are physically a part of us. And like, we're not going to quit. We're not going to just like leave you here by yourself. Like we know Ammon's not here and your family's not here. Like we are here. And it was just like every step, I know they were pushing me up that mountain. Like I was just like, I am gonna like Jesus take the wheel because I am not doing this. It took everything. It literally, and it's so funny talking about it. Like fit people and people that do this, like some people run rim to rim to rim in one day, right? That's insane. So Lance has done that multiple times.
Oh,
like,
no way.
He went back and did it like 2 weeks after.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. So like me talking about this, I'm sure some people are just like, are you kidding me? Like you're a loser. like this is not relatable.
We all like have our rim to rim, right?
Yes. So and like I feel like people that are listening to this that are super fit and this would not be a struggle. Yeah. What would put you in that position?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Is it forgiving somebody? Yeah. Like some people, forgiving someone is just as hard as me hiking rim to rim. I'm not like absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, or like, is it overcoming an addiction? That is really hard.
Yes.
Is it, I don't know what your rim to rim is. And I now, it's not like I did rim to rim. Right. I'm totally amazing now. Like now I don't have any other problems in my life.
Right? Everything is cured. It's solved.
Yeah, we're done. That's the magic sauce. Just go to rim to rim. But I think what it did for me was it just taught me like going in the mountains and being silent and listening to my heavy breathing. And just being silent and listening to Mother Earth, listening to nature, listening to my body, listening to my spirit, taught me more than I would ever need from any expert out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm trying to teach women. Like everything that you need is already inside of you. You just have to access that point so that you can. But
how do you access it?
And you clear out all the clutter, right? You clear out all the noise. And that's kind of what I do. I teach mental health skills to clear out the clutter, to not have triggering thoughts, to be able to access the stillness that's within you physically and mentally, and reconnect your mind and your body and spirit and get them on the same team. Get them talking to each other. Get the noise out of there.
No, I am 100%. I believe that every answer, every lesson is all inside of you, and it's your job to pull that out. It's no expert's job. I'm not an expert. Go on a hike.
Yeah. You'll become your own expert.
Go take a hike and figure it out yourself.
I love it. I love it. That's probably why I feel so drawn to
stop looking outside for it. Start looking inward and upward and not outward. Absolutely. And I think you'll find way more than you would ever need. And I think tapping into that is really hard. I remember growing up as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and always in primary and even young women, like, listen to the Spirit.
Yeah.
Like, just listen to the Spirit. And
Yeah.
I always remember thinking, like, yeah, but what does that mean? Like, how do I do that?
Like, yes. What does that
mean? How listen to the Spirit? Like, okay, I'm listening. Like, I have no idea. And I think it's good to teach that skill. I think if I could teach anything, it would be how to actually hear the Spirit. And whether that's your spirit, whether that's ancestors, whether that's the Holy Ghost, whether that's Jesus, whether that's Heavenly Mother or God or whoever, or the universe or whatever you believe.
Yeah.
How do you hear them? How do you tap into that? And I think a big part of that is trusting. It's not what feels best. Like, it's not usually what feels best. It's what feels right. Like, sometimes, like, going rim to rim, I'm sure you were like, that is not what I want to hear. And that's not what I'm going to listen to. Like, you're like, actually, let me shake my magic 8-ball and try that one more time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's usually the first thought that pops into your mind. And then that first pop is followed by negativity. That's when you really know that it's the truth.
Then when opposition comes right in.
Yeah, when you ask a question and open your true heart and your mind, the very first thought that comes to you 99.9% of the time, and you might be thinking like, oh, well, that's just me thinking that thought. Yep, it is. That's you telling you what is up. Listen to it. And then the next thought that's going to come up is like, hell no, do this easy thing or do this other thing. And it's like, no.
No, that's
so simple or elementary, but like, I didn't know how to listen.
Yeah. It's so funny because actually when this episode airs, I'll be opening my registration for my 5 days to hear him challenge. It's a free challenge where I teach people how to access, get all that stuff out of the way. I call them mental roadblocks. They're in the way of you being able to hear him. Like, we have that. God is constantly showering down. Elder Bender calls it the continuous stream of revelation is always coming on us. And we put up the pavilions and block it. We stop that through different experiences we've had, thoughts and things like that, block that. And we have to have skills to be able to remove those mental roadblocks so that we can hear that still small voice. That is always talking, but how can we become in tune with that and know that it's that, right? Like, I think a lot of times we don't acknowledge or attribute a lot of what's happening. We call our thoughts. We call it luck. We call it coincidence, right? When in reality, it's God, right? And when we acknowledge God in our life more, we feel God more.
Well, and I'll tell you the warning. The second that you start digging away at those pavilions, it doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah.
You can just let it go. You can look at the pavilion and look at the block and look at it and be like, you know what? I'm going to choose to just let it go. It doesn't have to be a fight every time. Yes. Like, I think it is hard. It's hard, but it's not so hard that you can't do it.
Yeah.
And some of them are really deep stuck in there. But like, you're the one.
Our core ones.
Yeah. The core ones. The core ones are stuck in there deep, but like, the only person taking them out is you, and you get to choose when that happens and how, and like having Heavenly Father and Jesus help you take those out and having your ancestors remove those. Like, it does not have to be hard.
Yeah.
And having those pioneers come and visit me while I was hiking rim to rim, like, I know that there were some that were even further back that were not Mormon and had no idea what the Book of Mormon was and whatever. Like, I know that I had generations of people there with me, rooting for me and loving me. And like, it has nothing to do with, it has to do with love. Like, it really just has to do with love and loving yourself and loving others and opening your heart and just letting the light of Christ come in.
And you can't let that in if you're not loving yourself, right? Sometimes we think we can put ourselves down and beat ourselves up into doing that, right? And that's the exact opposite thing that connects us with Christ.
Exactly. I'm like not one to get super spiritual, and I mean I do, but not about Jesus. Like I don't talk a lot about Jesus Christ. In fear of like I don't want to hurt other people and make them feel like their beliefs and values are not like good or like on the same level as a Christian. Like
Absolutely.
that is not what I'm trying to say at all. And I believe that Jesus Christ, like every religion, preaches love. And I even think about Jesus Christ and what he did teach. Like, what did he actually teach? What did he really want us to do? What was the purpose of his teachings? And the truth is, like, it really is to just find that love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway, so I just hope that any non-Christians that might be listening or whatever, like your power and your strength and your beliefs are just as valuable and validated and strong.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. As a convert to the church, I have felt that. I know that. Like I experienced that with my family. Like they may do things that don't necessarily align with our values, but they 100% are people who Christ loves and helps on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And is with, right?
Like, whether you believe in Jesus or not, Jesus is rooting for you.
Exactly. Such good quotes.
Yeah, go take a hike and Jesus is rooting for you, whether you believe in him or not. But
it's perfect. It's perfect. Awesome. Abby, this has been so fun. I just appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Yes. And one of the things that I like to do is ask my interviewee, is that what's the word I'm looking for? Person I'm interviewing for ideas or things that you do that are really small and simple to make that connection with God in your day. Like, what are the small and simple ways that you connect with that?
That's a really good question. And it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We just like had this whole conversation about like connecting with God. And then when it's like, and I can go climb a mountain and experience those amazing feelings, but like in my everyday life, it's very tricky, especially with kids and a husband and mom. I think two things that I do every single day are we pray as a family. Like no matter what, we pray as a family. And sometimes it's kind of lame, but of the time, like that's just something that we do. And I feel like that always connects us to the divine and like keeps that spirit in our home. And another thing that I do is I just try to be still for like 5 minutes a day. 2 minutes
that's
a day.
Huge. That's
1 minute a day. Like whatever you can do, just be still and just breathe and listen and like just take that time to just be still and center ground. Yes.
I call it a connecting tool. People call it a grounding tool. I call it a connecting tool because I feel like it's a connecting thing. Like it's connecting your spirit with your body, right? It's connecting you with God. And when we do those things, and sometimes we don't recognize the power in 1 minute of stillness, right? Some people feel like, oh, I couldn't do that. I can't sit and hum or whatever. It's like, you don't have to do that. Just take the noise out for a minute. Like
you could be laying down too. Like you can't, that's another thing. You don't have to fold your arms or get in some yoga position. Just like,
Yes. I usually say my morning prayers snuggled in my bed under the blanket, and I just create that stillness and I have a visualization conversation with God. And it may not be the traditional way that people look at, but for me, that's how I connect with God.
That's what I do too. That's weird.
Oh.
No, it helps me. My brain like needs that.
Yeah. And I think there's power in that, being able to make the connection with God in the way that feels authentic to you. We don't have to follow all these rules about what it should look like to connect with God. and we can connect with God in any way. And God just wants us to connect with them no matter what.
Yeah. I love it.
Oh, Abby, thank you so much.
I like how you said that.
Yes. That means lots of things.
I love it.
I believe we need the whole Godhead, and I believe we need our heavenly parents. We need both of them. And when I connect with my divine mother who has a piece of her inside of me, like I feel that power, I feel that strength. But we need all members of the Godhead in our life every day.
Yeah. I love it. I'm so glad I got to meet you and do this. You're going to love it after that.
Right.
You're going to love it.
I'm so excited. I'm excited. I'm nervous, all the things, but I'm trying to embrace that.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to love it so much. I'm so proud of you. And if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. I'm serious.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to thank Abby for coming on the podcast and taking her time to talk about her spiritual experiences hiking rim to rim. If you liked Abby and you want to follow her, check her out on Instagram at Abi Ayres, ABIAYRES. I hope these minutes you spent with me were meaningful, helped you feel inspired, and more confident. If you liked today's episode, check out the show notes for links to other episodes you might like too. And while you're there, in my show notes, look for the links to my website, social media, and free handouts for remembering how to implement the skills. Thank you for listening to the Meaningful Minutes podcast with Niki Olson.